Welcome to In the Mood for a Movie. I'm your host, as always, Jez, and joining me is Brad, B-Rad. We are back. Fortnights come around pretty quickly these days. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. How about you?
Good. I'm still buzzing from having Mike on the show last show. I thought it went really well.
Yeah, it was good having a guest there. Like, not just hearing us all the time, but no, it was good to get, a third person's bit of input. And especially you could tell when you listen to it back that it was one of Mike's favorite movies. So it was good.
Yeah. And people, we are going to be doing a couple more of these. So if you're interested, send us an email or hit us up on Instagram, inthemoodforamovie@gmail.com or inthemoodforamovie on Instagram. Brad, we also have our rookie draft going. How are your picks?
Yeah, I mean, I think pick 1.01, pretty obvious that I was going to take Jeremiah Love. Picked up Carson Beck for a little bit of quarterback depth there, which I didn't mind.
That was a lull.
That was a lull? You didn't like that?
No.
Come on, man. You played for the youth. The youth.
Man, he looks like is it Seth or Slith off he looks like Sleth or Sloth off Ice Age.
Okay. I have to take your word. I haven't seen it. But then I picked up a couple of defenders, so just add them to the taxi squad. Hopefully see if they pan out. But yeah, how about you?
Mate, my first pick is a guy that doesn't have ACLs, so looking forward to it. And how about them Seagulls? Is it 4 in a row since ever we crapped on them? They've been doing quite well.
I know, 4 in a row. Hey, it was good. I was watching it in a pub with a couple of mates actually on was it Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. Yeah, so it was pretty good, man. Okay. Quite enjoyed it.
Been watching any of the NBA?
No, I haven't. But speaking of ACLs, I think one of your favorite players went down.
Yeah.
Go on.
Hyperextend. Did go the Wolves are up 3-2 now, I think, but I think we're stuffed because, hyperextended and
not coming back?
DiVincenzo. Well, he's coming back in a couple of weeks. I don't think he's coming back. And DiVincenzo ACL. Yeah, I just sent you the, what do you think, Sid? It's Sid. Sid from
I can see that. I can see who they base the character on. Love it.
All right, everyone. Well, this is a movie podcast where we have conversations about films. Today, we are doing the 1995 cult classic, Dead Presidents, which you can find on Disney+. Spoiler alert, there will be spoilers. Brad, do you want to give the folks a plot summary?
Yeah, sure. A young Bronx man returns home disillusioned after a traumatic tour in the Vietnam War, struggling to find work and support his family in the early 1970s. Desperate, he gathers fellow veterans to pull off a high-stakes armored car heist.
Brilliant. So, 1995. How old were you in 1995?
12.
Yeah, cool. I was 9. I just had to work that out. Then I was like, I'll wait for him to say his number.
Quick math.
So some interesting things that happened in 1995. Windows 95 launched. Amazon launches an online bookstore. Sony PlayStation launch. Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise, #1 song of the year. Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill. Favorite song from that album, Brad?
Is it One Hand? One Hand in My Pocket?
Yeah, I had One Hand in My Pocket or Ironic.
Man, can I say that album rocks? That was such a good album.
It is a great album. It was a fan favorite. Brad Pitt voted sexiest man alive. O.J. Simpson verdict. Did he do it, Brad?
According to the state of LA or California, he's not guilty. So
did get sued in a civil court of law. He was guilty. MJ returns. The GOAT. Oh, here you go. The good one. Tokyo subway sarin gas attack. Did you hear about this one? So Ayumi Shikoro cult members gassed a Tokyo subway. How hectic. I don't remember that at all. And then Toy Story. So change movies forever with Pixar. Anything interesting you want to bring up about 1995?
Just 2 more things. eBay was founded that year. I used to use that quite a lot. Not so much anymore these days. And then I don't know if you mentioned the Oklahoma City bombing. So
No, I didn't mention that. Actually, I did see that. I didn't mention that. And then the movies that came out in 1995. So get a load of this or get behind these ones. GoldenEye, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Heat, Braveheart, Apollo 13, Friday, Leaving Las Vegas, Babe, Toy Story, Pocahontas, Dead Man Walking, Batman Forever, meh, A Little Princess. Say no more. Jeez, we didn't know how good we had it back then.
Can I say that's an awesome list, but you've also got Bad Boys, Billy Madison, Casino, and Crimson Tide.
Okay, there you
Man,
go.
what a year.
What a year. War movies. Brad, do you like war movies?
I think I do. I think I'll start with. I think as a kid, I thought tanks, planes, subs, guns, all that was pretty cool. Now that I'm older, probably don't think it's as cool. Because sadly, behind every death is a story of a human life that is now ended. But um, I think war movies for me, I always remember that quote, evil prevails when good men stand idly by. So, war movies, I think you get the horrors of war, but then you also get the brave and heroic things that people have done. So, sadly you see the worst of what people have to offer, but you also see what the best of people have as well. So, wars sadly are necessary. And as a student of history, I think it is very important to study and learn from the past to shape our future and to ensure we don't make the same mistakes. But yeah, I was going to say as well, I've always loved studying World War II at school, but recently in the last few years, the Cold War, which is post World War II, so 1945 to 1989, that's interested me the most. And Vietnam War was a battleground of the Cold War. So yeah, I've always had an inkling or, to watch war movies and, TV shows like Band of Brothers, things like that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I enjoy watching them as well. I did write down though, never want to be in one, and when they come too close to home and everything, don't really like that. I agree with you. Wars aren't the best thing, but I do, I guess, enjoy revisiting them. I had I like to think, history coming to life kind of thing. I do like the camaraderie as well and learning about group of people coming together from all walks of life and really bonding and needing that like brotherhood or mateship to really survive. Also doesn't really matter about what type of war movie. I feel like they kind of all have the same tropes. Um, Also don't need to be on the battlefield, like A Few Good Men, for example. It's mainly set in a courtroom, still rocks. Uh, I do though think a good battle scene though does kick ass. And then I also, yeah, as you say, like the fallouts and the effects of war. Vietnam. So this movie is set in late 1960s, early 1970s. So during the Vietnam War. I remember learning at school Vietnam War was very much a TV dinner war. Everybody was watching it and it seemed like there was a lot of footage. One of the most covered wars in terms of like media as well. And then I guess all the kind of backlash because of that for all the soldiers coming home and then not getting, I guess, proper treatment, which they dive into a bit in this movie. But before we get there, I know you kind of touched on it a bit more. Any other thoughts on the Vietnam War?
I think you mentioned there, like close to home. I think the Vietnam War, I mean, I know it's mainly America that was fighting in it. And I think, shout out to our American listeners too, but a lot of Americans probably think that their biggest allies probably, Canada, they've got so many NBA, NFL, well, not NFL, but NHL sort of cross-reference teams and all that. And they maybe even possibly England is their biggest ally. But the only people that joined America in the Vietnam War was Australia, New Zealand, and South Korea. So, America is one of Australia's greatest allies, and it is a war that, a scrap that we were in them with together. And it was very close to Australia's sort of backyard, so to speak, being in Southeast Asia. So, yeah.
Well, our American brother and sisters, I know, have a lot of fun up in Darwin. So thank you for your service. Brad, we'll do this now. What's your Mount Rushmore of Vietnam War movies?
So, I've got a couple of shout outs to Born on the 4th of July and Forrest Gump and even Dead Presidents, but, probably not enough of the Vietnam War to sort of qualify for me. But I had We Were Soldiers, Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, and probably my favorite one, Apocalypse Now. So those four would be my top four.
Okay, cool. Just to clarify, so a movie based in the late 60s and 70s, which has a third, if not a little bit more, plus the after effects of Vietnam War, doesn't classify as a Vietnam War movie for you.
Well, I'll go into my thoughts of it. Okay, you know what? Yeah, it
No,
probably is a Vietnam.
I'm just breaking balls. Just breaking balls. Okay, cool. I had a pretty similar list to you. I though had one change. So I had Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, Apocalypse Now, and then I had Rambo First Blood.
Oh, that's a good one. I forgot about
And I
Rambo.
had shout out to Universal Soldier. Like you, I wasn't sure if there was enough Vietnam in it. So I wasn't sure if I could put it
A
in.
couple of flashbacks.
Forrest, Forrest Gump, Tropic Thunder. I don't think that really counts. And then Deer Hunter. So I guess the reason why I wanted to talk about all these is that this movie does take a lot of the ideas and themes from Platoon, or maybe not so much Platoon, but like Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket, and Deer Hunter. I know that Deer Hunter was very much a sort of front of mind when they made this movie. And it was, I would say, it's like the black version of the Deer Hunter. And I guess how the black, from a black veteran or a black army soldier perspective. I was worried. So I am the one that has seen this movie a couple of times. Brad hadn't seen it before until we decided to do it. I was worried it was going to be one of those warm-up movies for us, so to speak. I hadn't seen it over 20 years, but geez, as soon as I put it on and as soon as that opening scene kind of happening with the guys in the back of the milk truck, I just was like, yes, we're on here. Um, Such a tragedy though as well, but like I guess starting from what I was saying at the start, the movie does to me sort of start like the Deer Hunter before I started doing all this research to see that they were kind of loosely, they got a lot of ideas from it. Friends bonding about life at the start, wanting them to contribute, you know, one of the boys wanting to become a man, so he wants to go over and, do his part for his business, for his country. I guess coming back, feeling a bit lost, and just, I guess, with the after effects of war, but also people not lending their support and to help. And I guess just it all spirals out from there. Before I go too much deeper, what were your thoughts on the movie?
Well, I think this is probably a perfect example of why we do this pod, in terms of rehashing movies that one of us has potentially not seen. So obviously I haven't seen this one before, and I'm glad that I have seen it now. So, when I first heard the title Dead Presidents, like I didn't know what it meant. And when the credits started rolling and you see the money, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. It's like a cool name for the movie, actually, like the dead presidents on all the dollar bills. But I think my initial thought is that I love the four movies in one. So to me, it's got the coming of age part, which goes into the Vietnam War part, which goes into the Brooklyn survival, and then into the heist. So, and I also like, the Vietnam trauma as well too. So, one buries it in drugs, one buries his trauma in religion, and then I guess the other one sort of buries his trauma in crime. So, yeah, yeah, we'll go into it a bit more or whatever, but it was a really good one, and I'm glad I've, got to see this.
Yeah, I really love what you're saying there about how it's four parts. I had three parts, but I actually thought that I was probably cheating a little bit with the three parts. I think either coming back from the war and sort of the struggles with that, then leading into the heist definitely makes it of four parts. I thought, as we've sort of already, or I've already mentioned a couple of times, like a great look at black culture, especially in the 70s. Yeah, the struggle of the war heroes coming home, not being welcomed, loosely based off a real person whose name was Haywood Kirkland, I believe, who came back from the Vietnam War, was a little bit lost, struggled, with, I guess, all the effects of it, and couldn't find work, and then ended up doing a heist. He didn't kill any cops, though. Was released 5 years later, I believe, on good behavior, and he's done a lot of work around veterans who are incarcerated and, I guess, helping those people. The rating of the movie I've always found odd. So when I first saw this movie, I would think I was like 13, maybe 12. And a parent rented it for me. They also rented Romper Stomper at the same time.
Can imagine our
And
childhood.
yeah, and I think they were peering in the doorway in Romper Stomper when the young buck is having sex with one of the other women, and they're like, "Is this the R18 movie that I've rented you?" I was like, "No, the R18 movie is a lot tamer than this one." So I've always like a little bit odd at why it was R18. I thought, oh yeah, maybe like the guts and stuff when I was rewatching it this time, but then I was like, nah, like Braveheart, which is the same year, is like just as bad as this. Um, did you think the rating was a bit odd, or what are your thoughts on the R18? Or am I just kind of diving down a rabbit hole that doesn't need to be dove?
But no, maybe you're a bit desensitized because when I was watching this movie, I was like, holy shit, this is violent. Like, this was full on. So, I think an
Okay.
R18 classification is quite appropriate.
What do you think of the face paint?
Yeah, I like that. I always like a good face paint or a mask or something for a heist. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool as shit. Apparently, in the notes I was reading, they were trying to not glorify anything. They were trying to show the traumas of war, but to me, it was just great. I was like, I'm not sure if I see too much trauma in in this, but well, in terms of the face paint. So we'll go into the actors now. Lorenzo Tate. So he played Anthony. I remember him. So the Hughes brothers did another movie before this called Menace to Society. I remember him from that. Apparently he's in a lot of TV sitcoms as well. I had a look here. Saw he's in an episode of like Fresh Prince of Bel-Airs and Family Matters and things like that. So very different type of character to what he was playing on TV. Um, I was a bit mixed on his performance at first. I settled on it though, and I thought that he did a really good job. The character arc in all the characters is pretty great, and I thought Anthony, from the person he was at the start to the person that was at the end, and how Lorenz did that was pretty remarkable. I do also remember Lorenz Tate from Crash. He's the guy that Ryan Phillippe kills in the car when he's driving him home after like they're burning the stolen car. Um, and I know the Hughes brothers really wanted him to explore a darker mindset and really tap into that dark character, which I really think um, it shows in some of the scenes and some of the pretty hectic scenes. He did also train pretty extensively with Vietnam veterans to really try and get an authentic kind of portrayal of that character. What did you think of Lorenz?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned there that you weren't quite sold on him at the start. I had that same sort of feeling too. I wasn't even after I watched it a couple of times now. Even after the second one, I had not 100% sold on him. But to your point, I did think that he did the character arc well. Where he was all sort of like young and free and happy. I guess everyone is at that sort of early age of life. And then he's had the horrors of, real life and war and everything. And he was a bit sort of darker towards the end of the movie. But, yeah, I wasn't 100% sold on him. I thought a couple other people were really good. But I think it was overall like a very good cast. So I think they all sort of carried each other.
And you know this, man. Chris Tucker, our boy. What a performance. I think it's actually an understatement to say that he was brilliant in this movie. And the fact that this is his first big on-screen performance is nuts. So he was still doing stand-up at the time. He also does Friday this same year as well. And I would imagine that Skip and Smokey have some similar crossovers where they get side effects from some chemical substances, so to speak. So Agent Orange in this case. But I just thought he was wonderful, and a lot of that that magnetic energy that he had was mostly improvised, which the directors, the Hughes brothers, were very much encouraging. What were your thoughts on Chris?
Yeah, yeah. This is the first time I've seen Chris Tucker in a non-comedic kind of performance. So, I mean, he was in He was in Jackie Brown for a little bit in a non kind of comedic role, but obviously this is a lot bigger. Yeah, he was really good. He was really good. And I like that you pointed out the Agent Orange there too. So that was a horrible chemical that was used in the Vietnam War, purely just to Vietnam's very lush with like rainforests and built up sort of, areas. And the Agent Orange was designed to come in there and like eliminate that. So it wouldn't be so bushy and stuff. But a lot of soldiers on both sides got heavily affected by that. So, yeah, and that sort of played into the character of Skip. So yeah, it was a really good performance.
Not Agent Orange, but there's a really good book by Malcolm Gladwell called Bomber Mafia, and he goes into the tactics of when they were bombing in Tokyo and they were using napalm, and he was talking about how back in the 40s, all the houses in Tokyo are made of bamboo, so it's just like the fire just spreads, and it's just like, let it burn. It's like pretty hectic stuff, but yeah. A Mount Rushmore for our man Chris Tucker. What's your Mount Rushmore of Chris Tucker movies?
I did an action comedy wildcard. Is that okay?
That's also fine, Brad. You can do whatever you want. You're 50% of this podcast.
I did an action comedy wildcard. So I had action, I had Fifth Element, comedy, I had Rush Hour. Give me any three of them. He's great. And then wildcard, I actually had him in Dead Presidents. So after seeing his performance.
Okay, we pretty much had the same. I just had Friday, Rush Hour, Fifth Element, Dead Presidents. So there you go. Rose Jackson, who plays the love interest. Surprised that she hasn't really been in much more. I know that she's married to one of the writers from Married with Children and the Jeffersons, but I thought she's pretty enjoyable. Anything you want to say about Rose?
Honestly, I wrote down that I thought her performance was awesome. It was surreal. I thought she was really good in this.
And our man, Keith David, a real life Navy SEAL. I did not know that. We spoke about him briefly in a previous pod, but what a delight. I thought he was so, so good in this. I love his bass voice. I know that the directors wanted to get like a senior actor into the role, and the fact as well that he had some military experience to kind of pass that on to the younger actors. Just really helped all those young guys. I could really feel as well his father figure in the role to all of them, and especially to Anthony. And I just thought he nailed every scene, nailed every line. I love when he shuts down the idea of another Black Panther to the chick when she's like, "Oh, I've got a mate who's pretty good with guns." But yeah, I absolutely love Keith David. Thoughts?
Yeah, Keith David, I mean, ultimate. Like, he's such a good performance. You can see why this guy's got so much work. And to your point, you mentioned like the sort of father figure. I felt he was sort of, he was kind of the film's sort of moral gravity, I guess, even though maybe his morals probably aren't, the same as general citizens of America. But I found his performance just classic, like fantastic. He was great.
And then Clifton Powell, who plays Cuddy the Pimp. Very enjoyable. I just loved every scene. I thought he was having a lot of fun in the movie as well. There's a couple of scenes which I'm very excited to get into it with you in a little bit later. Brad, did you feel like a big man the first time you brought home groceries?
No, I didn't. So I was going to say, yeah, I thought he was fantastic. The first time I saw him in this movie, I'm just like, oh man, it's Rick James. It's Superfly or whatever. Like, I just thought he was so cool. Like, just so badass, man. I loved it. He was great.
How's my baby girl sleeping in the back?
Yeah.
just Anthony's face. He's like, who the fuck is this guy? Like,
yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah, he was awesome.
And then now Cleon. So Bokeem Woodbine, breakthrough performance for him. He does The Rock a year later, Sergeant Crisp. He's a hard ass in that movie. But Cleon, the biggest psycho I ever met, but the biggest pussy citizen I've also ever seen. I will say he's also in one of my favorite TV shows of all time. He's in one episode, Invincible. Have you seen Invincible, Brad?
Nah,
I think I've been trying to get you to watch this.
Yeah, is that a superhero one?
Yeah, it's on Prime. It's like the best thing you'll ever. Every episode, I'm like, how good is this writing? I can't get over it. But what did you think of Bokeem?
He was an absolute psycho. So the fact that I felt that from him, like, proved that it was a good performance. So, like I sort of touched on before, like, I thought everybody did a pretty good job in this movie. So yeah, he was great too.
Terrence Howard. So I looked him up because I was like, God, he looks young. He was 26, 27 at the time of this, but I I thought he was really good, Terrence Howard. A couple of scenes he had, I thought he played the character really well. Like, was a really great character in this movie. Has been nominated for a Best Actor before in Hustle and Flow. I see that he's still acting. I thought he'd stopped acting because he'd become like a so-called math genius. I know Joe Rogan got him on a podcast, like debating some MIT math professor about how he's kind of figured out a different shape or a triangular shape, but I don't know, it was too big for my brain. Um, I really like, I guess, Terrence Howard's demeanor in all his other films, and in this film, I felt like he was just playing a real cool cat, like just a completely different type of person. What did you think of Terrence?
Yeah, I really, again, like everybody, I really enjoyed his performance too. I thought his chemistry with Lorenz Tate was really good in terms of like the bar scene, like with the pool and things like that. Like they really played in, they really fed off each other quite well. So yeah, I thought he was really good.
Yeah, I very much felt like a big brother, little brother type vibe, but obviously
There's a bit of
different
hate.
to that. But
Yeah,
yeah. But like I got that as well.
yeah.
I asked you, I believe, this time to do an action drama wild card.
Yeah, I did. Action item down in Iron Man. Drama, Hearts War. That's quite a nice movie. And then Wild Card, which is a really good movie too. Prisoners. So yeah, quite enjoyed them all those performances.
Cool. I had Iron Man, then I had Crash for drama, and then wild card. I had to put it in Four Brothers. Could not. And then shout out to Get Rich or Die Trying.
Nice.
I had it in. I was like, I can't put in Get Rich or Die Trying. Nabush Wright, who plays Delilah, the sister. What you thought?
Yeah, she was, obviously I have seen, One Battle After Another before I saw this movie. So I got that same sort of vibe, from, Perfida Beverly Hills, who's part of that French 75 member, from that movie. She plays the love interest, of both Sean Penn and Leonardo, DiCaprio. So I got that same kind of vibe, that sort of femme fatale kind of thing. So yeah, I thought she was quite good in this movie as well.
Yeah, look, I know we're potentially going to, you're repeating yourself saying how much everyone's performance is so great. I'm going to keep repeating myself saying how great everyone's character arc was. I just love at the start, just, I like how they can de-age actors back in the day by like putting curls in her hair and things like that. But I like it goes from the start kind of conversation with Anthony to the end being in a dumpster with two guns. Like, what a shift. I actually forgot that she was in the heist when I was watching it the second time. I also love the scene when she talks about being qualified to handle all different types of weapons, and she's like AK-47, and one of the guys is like, no shit. Um, Special mention to the Soprano boys. So Michael Imperioli, great to see young Christopher. I thought he was playing a pretty different character in this. You could tell that he was going to be a good actor and he wasn't too far away. They also had Tony Sicario, who plays Paulie Walnuts. I couldn't find him in the movie. He had a character name. I don't even know if he had a line. Apparently he had a line, but I didn't see him in the movie. Did you? I guess before you talk about Michael, did you see Tony in the
Yeah,
movie?
I did see him. I don't think he did have. I don't remember him having a line, but I think he was one of the cops at the end, like
Yeah,
when
he's
they
one of the
were.
cops at the end.
Yeah, but I don't remember him having a line. But as soon as I saw him, I'm like, hey, it's Paulie. So yeah,
Oh, okay. What about Michael?
yeah, I thought he was quite good. Didn't really have a bigger role. Like you said though, you could tell that he was starting his journey and he was onto something, bigger and better. I think after this, so I think he's just, I think this was a good role for him at the time. And he also gives a new meaning to the word, or to the phrase, dick breath. So
Okay, good. I had a question on that. I think you might have answered that for me. Um, this last person, I completely forgot they were in the movie. Even when you look up like cast on the internet, they're not on the internet. They came in. I was like, oh shit. Yes.
I think I know who
Martin
you're talking about.
Sheen,
Yeah.
uncredited. How good is it? It was like being back in the principal's office at school. I just thought he was wonderful.
Yeah,
Brad.
he's great. I love him when he plays those kind of roles, like the sort of politically morally correct or kind of person like that. Like when he was in that popular TV show West Wing, or kind of like in this, he's or even in The Departed where he's the good cop. I kind of like
Yeah.
him in roles like that. So yeah, he was great. He was only like a 30-second cameo or whatever it was, but he was fantastic.
Say, any of you fellas got a light? Before they throw him off the fucking building. Yeah, loved it. So directed by the Hughes brothers. So this was their second feature film, a follow-up to Menace to Society. Have you seen it?
I have not, but I've seen two of the other films that they've done.
Okay, pretty good. So they did Menace to Society when they were 21 and they did this movie when they were 23. Like, what
Wow.
the hell? I'm
Wow.
impressed they were able to get this off the ground and get the budget for a 1995. Like, I was trying to do the math. Only in their 20s when they made this film, they weren't alive when all this stuff was going down. So unbelievable how well I thought that they got the era, the dialogue, the outfits, the music, which we'll go into a bit. I just couldn't believe how amazing that they were able to capture that culture of the Bronx in the 60s and 70s.
I thought they did an amazing job. I didn't know that they were that young to have done it at that age. Like, wow, amazing. I've got some thoughts on it later when we get into the scenes and stuff. A couple of things I want to highlight, but yeah, man, I can't. I mean, I was looking at their IMDb. I can't believe they didn't go on to do a lot more things. Like they did do a few more things, but I'm like, man, these guys are good. Like they're directing in the scenes and some of the things that they did, I personally love. So I'm keen to see, Menace to Society, which I haven't seen, but I have seen their other movies. Not to spoil your point, but I'll spoil it anyway. I have seen From Hell, which I quite enjoyed, and I have seen The Book of Eli too, which is quite good too.
Book of Eli's with Denzel's blind.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like walking around with the Bible that's in Braille and stuff, trying to
Yeah.
like spread the message. So yeah.
Don't know if I love that one.
Have you seen From
Yeah.
Hell?
I don't know. No, maybe not. Maybe we can add that to the list.
It's like it's a take on Jack the Ripper. It's got Johnny Depp and Heather Graham in it.
Because
And Ian
Johnny
Holm.
Depp's is Jack the Ripper. Oh, no, that's Freddy. Johnny Depp's in the first Friday the 13th, I believe. Yeah, no, yeah. Echoing what you just said, when I looked up the IMDb, I couldn't believe that they hadn't done so many more movies as well. Did you see who music was by? I only caught this in the last time I was watching when it said music by.
I have Danny Elfman. Do you want to give them a
good.
list of what he's done? Unbelievable.
You can do it.
All right. Well, he's worked with directors such as who we love, Sam Raimi and Tim Burton, and Gus Van Sant. So he's done so many movies. He's got Beetlejuice, Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, Mars Attacks, Sleepy Hollow, Big Fish, Alice in Wonderland, Darkman, Simple Plan, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Oz the Great and Powerful, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And then he's also got great movies too. Well, they're all good too, but he's got some other great movies, Good Will Hunting and Milk. And he's also written music for Men in Black, 50 Shades of Grey franchises. I mean, unbelievable. He's done The Simpsons, Desperate Housewives, Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, get this guy like a Hall of Fame jacket right now. Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I was about to say, you forgot to mention he did the music and starred in Nightmare Before Christmas. So he's Jack Sparrow as well.
Unbelievable. So good.
So production. So as I mentioned, movie was loosely based off real life experience of Haywood Kirkland. But as I mentioned, also no one was killed in his heist. So Hughes brothers insisted on practical Vietnam locations, which they had to do, and real veteran consultants. So apparently they did a lot of the filming in Florida, and they did a lot on celery farms, which is apparently meant to look a bit like Vietnam. Veterans on set reportedly broke down watching certain scenes being filmed due to the, I guess, real life authenticity of it. As I sort of mentioned earlier, the Huge Brothers studied Full Metal Jacket, Apocalypse Now, Platoon, but also wanted to show the Black Soldier's perspective, also often missing from those films. Uh, the choreography for the heist took weeks, with the brothers storyboarding every angle of it. The makeup, so the scene where they paint their faces, shocked a lot of test audience. Apparently, people were walking out, and or some theaters were reporting people were walking out of it, and the directors refused to cut it. And it was meant to show the desperation and psychology or psychological damage, not glorifying violence. I thought to myself before I get into your what you found in terms of production, I thought to myself whilst I was watching it, what are my favorite movies that use paint or face paint that are non-sport related? So here are some movies that I came up with. Braveheart, which was the same year. Dark Knight, or any movie that really has the Joker character in it. Mad Max Fury Road, Apocalypse Now, The Crow, and then It, if that counts, with Pennywise. Brad, did you have any favorite makeup or face paint movies?
Yeah, I had the Dark Knight. To your point, I think the Joker, like if you got Batman or the Dark Knight, give me either. They're both quite good. I probably like the Dark Knight a little bit better. The
Yeah, or
Crow,
even the Joker with
yeah,
Joaquin.
yeah. The Joker with Black M, that's a good one too. The Crow, man, I forgot about that. That's a great call out too. So, strangely, it probably hasn't been done a lot. Probably in my head, I think it's been done a lot, but it really hasn't been when you sort of break down the actual movies that have sort of face paint in them. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, back in the 20s when we probably weren't so great, we used to do some other type of face paint, which we won't go into today. Any other production or weird things that you found while researching the movie?
I believe the Hugh brothers originally wanted the film to be even darker, but the studio pushed for more, sort of more of the heist part. Maybe they probably wanted to explore the Vietnam War part a bit more. But going on the heist, I believe it also draws like the real Black Liberation Army robberies, including the Brinks armored truck case. So yeah, they based, some of that off of sort of real life things. And just to your point too, you mentioned before, but Chris Tucker was filming Friday basically at the same time. So, he's going from, his character on Friday to this, heroin addict vet in this movie. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I know critically, the critics were divided. So they really liked the Vietnam sequences, but they were a little bit, well, they felt that the heist scenes were a little bit disjointed, which watching it a couple of times this week, I can kind of get the sense that, yeah, the heist is not, it sort of kind of happens and finishes a bit abruptly. And it's all a little bit like, after the heist to the end of the movie, kind of all is like boom, boom, boom. Box office, Brad, you're the numbers guy.
Yeah, so the box office budget was around 10 million and it domestically it grossed 24.1 with an opening weekend of just under 8 million. So sadly there was no international data that I could pick up, but as we mentioned, all those movies at the time, there was quite a lot of them. So for this to be a success, I think, sort of speaks to the movie itself too.
Yeah, I've got no other thoughts. Oscars. So no Oscars. I wanted to see if I could make space for Chris Rock, but I just couldn't do it with
Chris Tucker?
what was happening. Sorry, with Chris Tucker, but yeah, I just couldn't. I just couldn't do it because by God, my God, 95 was a stacked movie year. Do you want to go through the Oscars or anything you want to share on the Oscars?
No, I've just, yeah, it was hard for them. I mean, like you mentioned, they're sort of competing against, juggernauts like Braveheart, Apollo 13, Leaving Las Vegas. Like, so the chances of them really getting nominated, is probably, pretty low considering it, although this movie was a success, those other movies box office a lot more.
So, favorite scenes. So, I'll go through a couple of scenes. As you said, the movie is sort of 4 acts. I had 3 acts, like the setup, Vietnam, returning home, struggles to the heist. So, you can tell that I kind of merged the last two. That's how you got 4. I got 3. We kind of merged them together. So, I loved the start on the bus, just kind of Chris Tucker just taking over. Then moving to the pool game with Terrence Howard, and then straight into the Kirby fight one leg scene. Just that whole opening bit, I friggin' loved. Um, I was a little bit confused because at first I was like, oh, maybe that's Anthony's room. But I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's Kirby's room. What did you think of Kirby's room? Like before he gives him the money and then they go into the car to go collect from the restaurant. Like, what a shithole. What, like, is Kirby rich? I'm a little bit confused. He kind of has the same type of room as Morgan Freeman, $1 Million Baby.
I think he's, probably by black standards, at the time he was probably like rich or well-to-do. Yeah, but I think you could sort of tell that he sort of he owns that one building and he's sort of living there. So
Okay, cool. Then I had my next scene was the graduation night. So I just really enjoy getting a glimpse into history about, how like our parents or people would have done like their high school prom. Enjoy Chris Tucker dancing with the ladies and just talking crap. The next morning when Anthony's getting out of, is it Yuwanda or Unita's house?
Juanita.
Juanita, sorry. Next morning, getting out of Juanita's house. Any advice on Anthony's sex scene?
Yeah, get an alarm clock, son. You gotta make sure that you're up and ready and getting out of there in a hurry.
Yeah, I did love that. Um, sorry for that sex scene. I was thinking to myself, I had a neighbor, and the mail was so loud whenever they used to do their thing. Like literally, we could go sit in the living room and like hear this guy. I was like, oh my God, what is going on there? But sorry, everyone, I digress. I love
Actually,
when.
can I piggyback off that? Because I was going to ask you a question. So, do you reckon that the sister had a crush on Anthony?
Yeah, I was going to say they definitely did something at some stage. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, she definitely did, and he definitely wasn't discouraging it.
Yeah, because I feel like there was something going on, like that opening milk scene, sort of like a bit of whatever there, and then the kiss hello, welcome back, and then you
Yeah.
got the drink at the bar. But I was going to say, piggybacking off the sex scene, she didn't. I thought when it moved to her room, I thought she was going to join in, from her room or whatever, but obviously didn't pan out like that. But yeah, I sort of picked up something there.
I really love when he's running off after saying goodbye to her. How as soon as he jumps into the neighbor's yard, his feet don't even hit the ground. And the man's like, "Get off my property!" Every time I had a lot of laughs. Then the transition from jumping the fences into the Vietnam War, I think, was done really well. So to me, Vietnam was 3 scenes. It's the sort of reconnaissance team at the start with Cleon chopping off the VC head, which was pretty friggin' hectic, to them all sitting in a circle telling Cleon to dispose of the rotten head. Then it stinks like a sack of assholes. Then they move to the bar scene with Skip and Anthony, and kind of Skip talking about how he's not really sure what he's doing over there. Anthony talking about his mindset, how he's not thinking about the world or loved one and just blocking everything out. Like that's pretty friggin' hectic when Skip's like, "Oh, you've got a photo of your daughter," and things like that. Um, and then into like Christopher, or I want to keep calling him, but let's call him Michael, to his guts out. Like, how long do you think he's surviving with his guts out, like that, and then being carried on his gut? Like, I was like, that just must be so painful.
Yeah, I don't think he's surviving long. I thought it was his penis that was in his mouth. So I, but to your point, I mean, your gut's all cut out and stuff like that. I mean, he's a field medic. He's not, in a hospital sewing him back up together. He's probably not going to last long. But the morphine, I think, from what I've read, is pretty strong. I don't think you feel any pain. So,
God.
but yeah, it's pretty brutal.
So I also had to question what was in his mouth because I always thought it was his penis. But now watching it this time, I wasn't quite sure. But it sort of still looked like a sausage, so I'm just going to go it's his penis. But yeah, you're thinking the same?
Yeah, I thought it was his penis. Yeah. So I think that's why he didn't want to go back because you know what I mean? Like, what's the point? Like, he's lost that, he's going to be in pain and, horribly disfigured for the rest of his life. He probably doesn't want a life after that.
Chris Tucker, the first scene after the Vietnam War, showing the PSD and the Agent Orange effects and I guess, a little bit of heroin as well. It's like, it's not the heroin. I really enjoyed that scene. Then, got to do it. Returning home with the groceries, make you feel like a man. I remember when I turned, what does he say? Like, I remember when I came home with groceries for the first time. And then when I love Anthony's kind of faces that he keeps pulling, like as the camera goes from like Cuddy to Anthony to Cuddy, like everything he's saying. And then after he knocks him down the stairs, and then Cuddy talking about how his girlfriend's evolved in the bedroom.
Yeah. That was
I was
good.
just like,
Who have you
this
got to
guy
thank for
is
that?
just, yeah, I was like, this guy is just taking away Anthony's manhood in front of him. Then the round table when they're planning the heist. I think you always need that in a heist movie, and I really enjoyed the writing in that. The heist itself, I thought was pretty good. Like, it's a little bit misjointed in parts, but overall, I thought it was very exciting, leading to Joe getting killed by the cops, which I thought was pretty brutal. And then finally, the court scene with Martin Sheen. I guess just like another person telling Anthony to harden up and that the war that he is in wasn't really a real war. And, it's all pretty tough to hear throughout the movie. What were your favorite scenes, or are there any scenes that you want to talk about that I didn't bring up?
The only ones you didn't bring up, I thought the intense scene, like the flashback of D'Ambros's dead head at the butcher's with like the maggots and stuff coming out. I thought that was quite a good, and he sort of wakes up in the middle of the night, like it's that sort of Vietnam sort of war trauma, I guess he's got. I was going to say, going back to the directors, and we were talking about before, why I quite enjoyed their performance. So the Hughes brothers, I'm not saying that they're Quentin Tarantino, but some of their scenes are absolutely amazing. And it's just the subtle stuff that I like. So you've got the helicopter when they're in Vietnam with like the sun in the background. It's just like a slowly sort of moving helicopter. You've got the lighting of and the inhaling of the cigarette. I think it's Kirby's having a cigarette at one point. It's awesome. Then you got the Cadillac driving, and it's got like just the camera shot of like the hood ornament of like while the car's driving. And then you mentioned it too, the overhead shot of the map of the heist, and you got like the gun on the table, purposely on the table. You've got, coins that they're using as people and stuff. Like, man, it's amazing I promise you, like these scenes and stuff are like just some of the best I've seen. It's really good.
Yeah, I guess we'll go there now. So the Hans Gruber slowly falling off the building, I guess moment that stole the movie. So if it's a shot, it's all the shots with the army helicopter flying with the sun or sunset in the background and the soldiers hanging off the side of it. I just like, you can just give me that as on repeat and I can just watch that all day long.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually had, I love that too, but you mentioned it before. I like the film's Bronx to Vietnam transition where you've got Anthony running over the cars and the fences, and then all of a sudden he's like running and jumping over like bush and stuff in Vietnam, like in the battle. Like that was just awesome too. So yeah, so many good scenes though.
Best quote? What's your favorite quote, Brad, or quotes?
I've got I've got a few. Some of them mainly just skips. I've got Skip says, "I was born by the pussy, I'll die by the pussy." I've also got Skip going, "My great great granddaddy was a pimp and a slave. He would have had his hoes out in the field picking his cotton for him. He didn't have to do a goddamn thing." So that was really good. And then Cleon going, "It's better to check out than go home all fucked up." But my favorite one, I'm sure you like this one too, is after Cowboy and Youngblood had it out with the knife in the billiard room and then Kirby's kicking Cowboy out. He goes, and don't you come back in here unless you come correct. So I really enjoyed that. That was my favorite quote.
So yeah, you took one of my skip quotes was the great great granddaddy one. So my two favorite ones was Kirby. Everyone in this town knows I only got one leg, and that motherfucker grabbed the wrong one.
That was
And
great.
then the best one, which I just absolutely love. I'd rather be home with one fucked up hand in someone's pussy than to be out here healthier than a motherfucker without it. Shit.
Yeah, that was great. Some great quotes, seriously.
So songs and score. So the soul funk soundtrack has become iconic, and my God, I loved it. So it features James Brown, Curtis Mayfield. I know Isaac Hayes, so chef from South Park, had a lot to do with the soundtrack and helped them out with it. And he was featured on it. My favorite song, or I guess use of song, was the Al Green song when the cops come in and Skip is dead. He's done the heroin overdose, but at first they have the TV and it goes to like Al Green and Al Green singing a song on one of the shows, and then it kind of screens out to the police officers like running into the room, and then, you're seeing the result of his heroin overdose. What was the best song or score?
Well, I had a shout out to the Dead Presidents theme by Danny Elfman, but I had the same one as you, but I had a different song. Maybe I wrote it down wrong, but it was "Smiling Faces" sometimes from The Undisputed Truth. But that was a song that was playing when they found Skip's OD'd body. So I got it wrong. So,
Okay.
but yeah,
Well,
I think that song's the best one.
I didn't actually look it up. I just because they said Al Green, and then Al Green was there singing. So, yeah. Pre-2000s, Brad. What's pre-2000s about this movie?
Well, there's a lot of things that are pre-2000s about this movie being set mainly in the 60s. So I won't name them all, but for me, I think putting milk on people's porches, man, like not even you and I lived in a time like that. So it's the opposite now. You got people that are porch pirates stealing stuff. So it's funny to see people leaving milk on porches.
Yeah, I had that, warm milk, yummy. And then I also had smoking pretty much wherever you want.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of smoking in this movie.
So the Benjamin Button, what's aged the best for you?
I had the overall story of the coming of age to the Vietnam War, to the Bronx survival, and then the heist. So we touched on it. You're packing a lot into a movie, which is probably why it sort of went really quick there at the end. But I think they did quite a good job of telling the story without, you can always risk losing the message, but I think they packed it in quite nicely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, they didn't overdo it. Like, look how much the white people are fucking us over, blah, blah, blah. Like, they didn't really go too far into race in terms of, like, no one was ever racist to anybody in the movie, so to speak. So I agree with that. I had handshakes. I love a good handshake. So if you've ever seen the movie Honey, you'll understand that I love that just because of all the handshakes. The detail of bringing the late 60s and early 70s to life, the soundtrack, and then, just the storyline, how it evolves from serving to what happens after the war to shedding light on the difficulties of veterans assimilating from when they return.
I was going to ask you a question as well. Do you think that it all went bad for them when they buried the head?
No, I think that's just the casualties of like just the situation of war. I don't think that the head was actually protecting them. What about you?
Yeah, I kind of got it. Like when Cleon's like, we just buried our luck, and then like the next day or that afternoon or whatever, the Sarge gets killed, and then they all sort of start dropping off like a little bit. But it was really only the sergeant or whatever, the lieutenant that got killed. But yeah, I feel like they're like, oh no, sorry, and the other guy stepping on the landmine, he died too. But yeah, I kind of feel like that was a part where they're like, oh, okay, everything's sort of starting to go bad.
What staged the worst for you?
I think what's aged the worst, I took this in the way that, I'll tell you how I took it, but probably the way that people treated veterans. So I think there wasn't, enough support. It was a pretty unpopular war. I do love how Americans, and you hinted at it before, I love how Americans thank everyone for their service. And I feel like we in Australia should probably do a lot more of that. I don't think we say, oh, thank you for your service when we meet sort of vets and things like that. But, sadly, I think there probably wasn't enough support in terms of like, they didn't realize like the side effects of like Agent Orange and like trauma and things like that as well, because it was a pretty brutal sort of war. So, yeah, but I'm glad they sort of do a lot more with veterans now these days.
Yeah, just on that. So we just had Anzac Day last weekend, actually. And whenever I see like a veteran or something at the pub on Anzac Day, I'll always go up and, well, not always, but I'll try and go up and just say like, thanks for your service. Do you need a beer or do you want a drink or anything like that? So yeah, I do agree. The Americans seem to do it pretty well with their veterans. Maybe someone in America can email us and tell us how terribly they do and we're wrong. But I guess from an outsider's point of view, they seem to do a good job. So a couple of things that aged the worst for me. The way they hold the pool cubes. It's how I hold it when I was 6 to 12 at the snow. Just with the finger around.
Yeah.
That's not how you hold a pool
That's
cube.
not how you do it. No.
Kirby's teeth, yellow and gross. They're friggin' disgusting. Kirby's bedroom. Poor old Kirby's copping a lot. And then Sal the butcher, always having a cigar in his mouth and hand. Like, what do you want? Do you want some cigar
hygienic.
ash with your steak? Yeah. Who are you having a beer with, Brad?
I chose Skip. I'm not there for the drugs, but I think I would have the biggest laugh with him. He seems like a pretty fun hang. So yeah, I chose Skip.
Yeah, I said, look, obvious answer is Skip or Kirby, ideally both. And they're wanting to have a beer with me. Maybe some pool, but a lot of laughs. However, I settled on the judge. Having some ales and listening to him storming the beaches in Japan or the Southeast Asia and all these World War II stories, I think, I could sit there and have a lot of fun.
You could get him to recount the chair that nearly knocked him out in the sentencing as well. That'd be a good show.
Yeah. I was reading a Reddit that was trying to say that Martin Sheen was playing his character out of Apocalypse Now. I forgot the character name, but I was like, well, it doesn't really work because he's talking about World War II the whole time. I thought that was kind of interesting. So in terms of director's couch or goat cast, I couldn't really find any casting what ifs. I did see that directors were unsure about the actor for Cleon. They even toiled with a white actor. Like I think some young people like who's the guy from American History X?
Edward Norton.
Yeah, Ed Norton and a couple other names were tossed around, but thank God that they settled with Burkeen. Another one I saw was Jade Pinkett Smith turned down the role because Tupac, who she actually went to school with, I just finished a Tupac book, was feuding with the directors at the time. So for loyalty, she chose to turn down the role. Interesting enough, before I saw that, I was thinking to myself, could Tupac have played Anthony in this role? But then I read that they were beefing, so I was like, maybe not. I also thought that Tupac would probably be too, in quotations, like gangster or street compared to Lorenz, because you can see that his family is kind of like, he's like a middle class type of family. So probably didn't need that whole vibe, even though that, Tupac went to some nice schools, but his home life wasn't too great. Did you find any casting what ifs
No,
or anyone that you would cast?
No, like we sort of touched on before, like I thought the overall cast was very good. I know we did, Mystic River recently where we're like, that's like an A grade class and you got this person and this person and this person. Whereas in this one, you probably got a few sort of unknowns or up and comers at the time. But I really do think like, generally across the board that everybody was pretty good at their roles. So like, you're sort of giving them like AA pluses and things like that. So I didn't really have a big problem with anybody. So yeah, it was a really good cast, I thought.
Yeah, look, and I guess just on that as well, like nobody sort of put you out of the movie, I felt, because they just couldn't act. As you're saying, like everyone was pretty good and you were just enthralled and you could stay in the movie and you're like, oh God, that person's pretty terrible.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and you can actually like follow the story without being put off by somebody. So yeah, it was because it's a good point.
Brad, what character could Bruce Campbell have played?
So I had Bruce Campbell as Benton Court. So that's the one that stepped on the landmine. So I could have seen him, doing a sort of typical sort of Bruce Campbell kind of face from like a Evil Dead or Army of Darkness as he steps on the landmine and knows he's about to die. But also I could have seen him doing a scene where he's helping Cleon bury the head like he did in Army of Darkness, where he's burying his evil, evil sort of twin head and things like that. So there weren't really many options for him, but yeah, I had him down as Ben and Court.
Look, I also was going to put him as that person, but I couldn't find his name. So I had him as Lieutenant Dugan, and I had a quick little line. So when they're sort of telling Cleon, or just before he tells Cleon to get rid of the head, so he's tapping a magazine or a knife on his helmet. Tap, 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 Cleon. I'm going to need you to use that brain of yours, the one that's inside your skull, and dispose of your little trophy there.
You're right. He would have been good at that role too, 100%.
Did you have a porn title?
I did. So hold on, I'm gonna get my my little mic on over here. So move over, Debbie does Dallas, because we've got Skip does Saigon. So Skip makes his way all over Saigon, trading in dead presidents for head. Chris Tucker is head president.
Okay, good one. I had dead hard presidents. After returning from a long tour of duty, frustrated veterans decide to rob a bank. What they didn't realize until inside, it's a sperm bank. The heist quickly turns into a marathon of tactical positioning. Will they be able to unload their sacks while stealing cash?
So good. Can I just say I'm so disappointed. Ever since porn got nerfed in Australia, I can't believe people haven't been writing in to thank us for the material. Like, hey, stick that in your wank bank.
So sorry, Brad. What do you mean by porn got turfed in Australia?
No, nerfed.
What is nerfed? What do you mean by porn got nerfed in Australia?
Oh, you got to do apparently you got to do all these age. I know what you're getting at. You're trying to bait me. Apparently you've got to do age verifications every time you want to have a bit of alone time.
So little Brad was working overtime till the start of April, was he?
Probably like all our foreign viewers are like, what? They don't get porn in Australia? What's going on?
Yeah,
exactly.
Don't worry. Sorry, guys. Sorry, young Australian men. Best, or women as well. Best outfit or prop, Brad, what are you keeping?
So I'm not really a fan of guns. So I think Anthony's shotgun though would be pretty cool. I assume that's the one in the heist that's the same one that he had in Nam, but I actually did change it last second. I think the Vietnam belt buckle that was from the officer that they found, with the star.
Son of a bitch.
I think that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, good one. I think you won that. So I had the VC head. I also had Kirby's
a rotting head.
Yeah, well, it's a prop.
Okay.
Kirby's leg.
That's
Drink
good.
a couple of beers out of that, and then I just settled on someone's Vietnam helmet. I'll probably go. I'll go Anthony's. Vietnam helmet.
Nice.
Fredzik Zulas, who was the best performance on or off screen?
So I had a shout out to Rose Jackson. That was Juanita. I thought she was really incredible, but she wasn't in it a whole lot. So I had to go with Chris Tucker as Skip. So I'm watching this from a 2026 point of view. So I've only ever seen Chris Tucker in funny comedic kind of roles, like, in The Fifth Element and Rush Hour, things like that. So for me to buy him as anything but that comedic or that comedy, or the comedian, I should say, which I did, proved to me personally just how great his performance was in this movie. So I really rated him in this.
I also had Chris Tucker, and this, man. I thought he was just brilliant. As you say, like, I guess I'm just going to echo everything you say, so I won't bore everyone with saying that. I had Keith David as a close second for me. I thought Keith David was great. Brilliant in this. I think we did a Keith David wildcard action drama or a Mount Rushmore. I would have reflection. Put Keith David into that as well. What is happening after the credits stop, Brad?
All right, so I went a little dark with this. So I had Anthony Curtis, now in jail for life, is tortured once a month when an envelope slides under his cell door. No return address, no handwriting, just a single burned, half-melted, unusable $100 bill inside. So he knows that Cuddy is the only one sending it to him and living the life he was supposed to live with Juanita.
I had Cuddy and Juanita get back together and raise Anthony's daughter, who then goes on to run a brothel or a high-end strip club in the Bronx.
Yeah, nice.
And then I also had Kirby and Anthony run a pool shark ring from inside prison, aka Color of Money, and it could be directed by Martin Scorsese. So there's your sequel.
Nice.
So Theory Corner, I went on a bit of a deep dive. I don't really know if this is a theory corner because then I was like, well, no, it's not actually right. But so Chris Tucker, his first two movies are this movie, Dead Presidents, and Friday. Is there a better run of opening movies ever? And they have to have a big part in both movies. I did a quick Google and straight away I was like, okay, yep, they're definitely not Chris Tucker. So I saw like Eddie Murphy, Trading Places in 48 Hours, Orlando Bloom, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, and Black Hawk Down. But number one, Julie Andrews, Mary Poppins, and Sound of Music.
Oh, wow. That's,
okay.
Yeah. that's
I was
definitely
like,
the go.
Right. Yeah. Did you have any theories?
I did. So I haven't seen, was it Reindeer Games you say, or what was the other movie you were comparing it to?
Deer Hunter.
Deer Hunter.
My favorite movie.
No, I haven't seen it. So, but I went in the same sort of direction. So I had Forrest Gump was a coming of age movie with Vietnam War in it. So would you compare this, since it came out a year later? So I'm prefacing it by saying that, would you say that Forrest Gump is like, the white version of the movie, whereas Dead Presidents is the black version, with more painful truths about the struggle in life, like for these guys after the Vietnam War and that Bronx sort of life. So would you say that this is like the black version of Forrest Gump?
Yeah, look, potentially. And I think Forrest being able to kind of get a job with Bubba when he returns from the war or moving down to Bubba's family area to build the shrimp boat or do shrimp boating. It's great, something that Lorenz didn't have. I was thinking Lorenz, I guess his plan when he came back was to be working with Kirby. And when Kirby's like, if I had a job for you, I'd already be giving it to you. You wouldn't have to say anything. Do you think that then started Anthony's kind of spiral? Because he's like, oh, shit, well, there's my whole plan. That's my only plan I had. And now I'm kind of jobless.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you are right. In reflection, he did come back hoping to, work with Kirby again, and I guess, not have a straight life. They're obviously doing criminal kind of activities or whatever, but I guess that's what his plan was to do, and obviously he didn't get that, so he had to settle on, doing a job that didn't pay too much, which eventually led him into a life of crime anyway. So yeah, that's good.
Okay. So Dom Toretto, I had a couple. So first one, don't be friends with someone who chops off people's heads. They probably would have been able to get away with it if it wasn't for Cleon, or they would have been able to get to Mexico. But my life lesson, which I think it's a quote, the only color that counts is green.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. My
What
one
about you?
kind of piggybacks off your first one. So I said the people you associate with say a lot about you. So this is going to feed into the airing of grievances, which is, I don't know if I'm Anthony, if I'm selecting this crew like to do the heist. You've got a pyro, a psycho, a junkie, an anti-government militant femme fatale, and a getaway driver with one leg. So I don't think that's the crew you're putting together when your life's on the line.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that is a terrible crew. Anthony and Kirby, you idiots.
I was going to ask you, when you saw all that money go up straight away, like when that during the heist, when the pyro sets the bomb off, I thought I thought they weren't going to get $1. Like I thought it was going.
Yeah,
bad.
so did I. I was like, oh, surely they might have something been survived, but I guess we can do this now on our airing of grievances. I wasn't sure the truck would blow up that way with just the TNT on the back. I wasn't sure, like, because it kind of the whole thing blew up, including the front. You think it would just maybe blow up the whole back of it? I'm not quite sure. Um, do you want to go to your rest of your airing grievances, or did you have any other ones before I do mine?
Was just going to give you a quick fun fact. So I understand the money to be about 200 grand in 1970, which equates to about 1.7 million today. So that means that each person's 60K cut is worth about roughly 510K. So even though, like, I'm watching the movie, I'm like, 60 grand each, is that all they got? It worked out to be about $500,000. So, it's pretty decent sort of cheddar, I guess. But yeah,
Better than Gone in 60 Seconds.
yeah, 100%. I don't like the planning of the heist. I don't think Delilah in the bin is the right move. Maybe put her under the stairs too. I also think that Skip and Cleon aren't really doing much. And Kirby, you're the getaway driver. Like, even I know you've always got to keep that car engine on. So, you saw it when the armored truck was trying to start up. It took a couple of goes to start it up. You got to have that car running. But I don't think 6 people are fitting in Kirby's car plus a payload anyway. So, I didn't like I mean, I love the idea of the heist. I just didn't think I'd have all those people in those different places.
Yeah, look, I think the point of it was potentially they were very much amateurs and they didn't really know what they were doing.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I had it down the lookout guys as well in my grievances, but I took it out because I guess Skip does kill one of the cops, like the cop there that's in the way. But I was like, I don't exactly know what your plan is if there's a cop there. Like, well, what do you? Yeah, hey boys, like,
Yeah.
don't do it. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's sort of a foregone conclusion that it has to happen. So you just take out the cop straight away. I wasn't quite sure, but
Yeah.
my airing of grievances was Skip being the exact same unit in Vietnam as Anthony. Not quite sure about that.
That's a good
As
one. That's a
as I
good one.
mentioned, I didn't know if the truck would blow up the way it did, but the favorite part of that was, did you see where Joe or the pyro was hiding when the truck blew up?
Behind a bin, wasn't it? Or the mailbox or
Nah,
something?
just the little fire hydrant. Like shrapnel would have just gone into him.
Decimated.
He just like squats down next to the fire hydrant. I was like, "What's that?" And then one of my other big ones was like Anthony being surprised by his sentence. Like he killed a cop. I think he killed 2 cops because he smashed the other one with like the gun, like the other one's face in with his gun. Um, I think the lawyer might have given him a little bit of a heads up that like 15 years, I know it's 15 years to life, but 15 years for armed robbery and cop killing seems pretty light to me. I don't know, I'm no judge, but I just thought it was potentially a little bit of an overreaction.
I agree with you. I was going to ask you that question too. Yeah, 15 to life. I had him definitely killing one cop, and like you said, like bashing the other one with the butt of his gun or whatever. Like he's potentially killed 2 people, 2 cops during an armed robbery, and he only gets 15 years to life. So, man, I mean, we did The Fugitive, and John Kimball wasn't even 100% sure that he killed his wife, and he got a death sentence. So I don't know I don't know about that.
Reverse racism.
Reverse racism. That's it. I was gonna say, sorry, I did have another one too. Although I don't know, I put down, give me some more Vietnam music, like give me some Hendrix or give me some Rolling Stones. But then I guess, this is sort of a black movie, and the album that they had were sort of black movies. So maybe I'll get rid of that.
Yeah, no, funk and soul, Brad. You need to have it. Need to have it in. Letterbox rating, Brad. What did you rate it?
Oh, I might surprise you on this one, but I gave it 4 stars. I had 4 movies in one. So coming of age, Vietnam War, Bronx survival, and a heist. Sign me up. And as you know, Jeremy, one of my favorite things too is I like a bit of a sad ending because I don't like a good Hollywood happy feel good ending or Disney ending. So yeah, I thought this was a fantastic movie. The cast was great. The story was great. It was really well done. And the transition that I love, some of those shots and scenes I thought were fantastic. The transition of running the cars like into the Vietnam War was great, and you even saw him running on cars at the end when he was getting away too. So, yeah, it was a really well crafted movie. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad you made me watch it, because it was fantastic.
Thank you. I had 4 stars as well. Loved it. In terms of like rewatchability factor as well. So I don't think, hand on heart, I'd seen this movie in over 20 years, and I just absolutely loved it. I highly recommend it to anybody that hasn't seen it before. It is great. You will not regret it. What movies I'm pairing it with? I had Menace to Society, just to keep it with the Hughes brother. Otherwise, I had Rush Hour if you need a laugh afterwards. What movies
Nice.
did you have? What movie or movies did you want to pair with it?
I have 3. So if you want that coming of age Vietnam War, then I think Forrest Gump's where it's at. If you want full Vietnam War with the psychological mind fucked and the hell that what that is or was Vietnam, I think Apocalypse Now is perfect. But if you want that heist adjacent with military people stealing gold, I had like Three Kings. So that was kind of like
I love my
yeah,
Three Kings.
yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Great movie. I just want to clarify one thing. So you haven't seen The Deer Hunter?
I have not.
I swear you have told me countless times about how much you love The Deer Hunter. The Deer Hunter is one of your favorite movies. Because I was surprised you didn't have it in your Mount Rushmore at the start. All right, well, we're going to have to put The Deer Hunter on the list as well. Brad, final thoughts. Did we miss anything?
No, it was it was a fantastic movie.
Any mailbox?
Yeah, actually, I got a suggestion from Tash Z in Sydney. She said you could potentially do an episode where you both haven't watched the movie and you do it with some live commentary. So, don't know how practical that would be, Tash, but it's a good suggestion. So, if you've got any suggestions or thoughts, please keep them coming in.
A watch along, hey?
Watch along.
Happy to do that. Good suggestion, Tash. Thank
Live
you.
TV
Tash,
would be extra swear words, I think. So.
Tash, let us know if you want to come on the pod and do one of your favorite movies. All right, boys and girls. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of In the Mood for a Movie. Thank you so much for joining us as always. You got any thoughts, hot takes, or movie suggestions? Or if you just want to tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, hit us up in the mood for a movie at gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, like and subscribe, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Brad, what do we have next episode?
Next episode, we've got The Heartbreak Kid. A bit light, a bit of comedy, bit of Ben Stiller for you, and Jerry Stiller, Danny McBride. I think you'll like it.
Nice one. I was trying to work out if I've seen it now. I'm just saying, no, I'm like, oh, maybe at uni I like put it on drunk one night and I fell asleep in the first 5 minutes. But
that doesn't count.
I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and looking forward to speaking to you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.